Welcome to Industry Live Show. I'm Kenneth Wally, your host, and today on the show we'll be looking at economic, business, and industry news and commentary. I have with me on the show entrepreneurs as well as protege of mine, and we'll be talking about the developments in industry and business, and it will watching the show today. Today we Amazon Fire TV, and the commentary of the President of the United States on the Affordable Health Care Act. Also, we'll look at the President of the World Bank statement on how the World Bank is positioning itself to help nations, advanced nations, overcome poverty. Alice Donovan, you can take the story on the introduction of Amazon Fire TV.
Alice Donovan, Kindle revolutionized, making it possible to think of a book and be reading it in less than 60 seconds. Kindle Fire put the world's largest selection of movies, TV shows, songs, apps, games, books, audiobooks, and magazines in the palm of your hand. In each case, Amazon integrates the hardware, software, and the content into an easy-to-use, seamless end-to-end service for customers. Today, Amazon is excited to unveil its newest innovation, Fire TV, a tiny box that plugs into your HT, instant access to Netflix, Prime Instant Video, Hulu, Plus, Watch ESPN, Showtime, low-cost video rentals, and much more. Fire TV also brings photos, music, and games to the living room. Meet TV at Don Fire TV. Tiny box, huge specs, tons of content, incredible price. People are going to love Fire TV. Alphabet Grid. Our exclusive new ASAP feature predicts the shows you'll want to watch and gets them ready to stream instantly. Also, Netflix, Hulu Plus, and more. On Fire TV, you can watch Alpha House and House of Cards.
It is amazing. And now they've come out with Amazon TV. Very interesting in this story is the fact that you can Roku as well as Apple TV. So I think this device you have to wait for buffering that sometimes take a minute or more. Uh, Netflix and this will give consumers a lot of options and access to watch a lot of online interesting in this progress that Amazon has infused into the Fire TV is the fact that with the Fire TV you literally can watch and experience all the latest videos that are released on Amazon TV and watch them directly on your regular TV. Uh,
Marketplaces went live, and millions of Americans finally had the same chance to buy quality, affordable health care. And to an end. And despite several lost weeks out of the gate because of $1 million. The truth is, even more folks want to sign up. So anybody who was stuck in line because of the huge surge who have gained insurance under by staying on their family's plan. Top of the millions more who have gained access through Medicaid expansion and the Children's Health Insurance Program, making affordable coverage available for all Americans, including those with pre-existing condition, is now an important goal of this law.
I think the president is touting the success of the law. Caroline, you
cancer survivor. I am not
the fact that the premiums have gone up low, it's even going to
those people who had never been able to afford health so people can have a feeling of self-worth, because considering you're an American and you can't even
is wealth, and so for people to be and could not afford to pay poverty. Let's go for it.
World Bank Group President Jim Young Kim today announced a series of measures lending capacity of the innovations in financial management and boost Speaking at the Council on Foreign Relations in Washington in advance of the World Bank IMF spring meetings, Kim outlined how the bank is positioning itself to better achieve its goals of ending extreme poverty by 2030 and boosting shared prosperity, lowest 40% in developing countries. Will increase by 100 billion to roughly the largest idle replenishment history, with 52 billion in grants and concessional loans to support the poorest country.
These are and high cost. This efficiency in fund management is bringing them great cost savings and enabling them to make and Marie.
It's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity for a lot of countries who need infrastructures, who needs to build the bridges, roads. It will increase jobs in those countries, and small businesses could start from that. That will give them more work, to help their families and to prosper. There's big grants and a stop, to
A lot of one of the good things about what the World Bank is doing today is replenishing some of the very depleted funds that they made available to these nations and businesses across the world. One of the take homes here is that there is a lot of collaboration that needs to take place. Enterprises and governments of local cities, local governments in various parts of this world. Collaborations need to be set up with is needed. Most of the time, many businesses in advanced nations cannot expand into third world nations and into developing communities because it involves a lot of capital injection. And most of the time, if you look at the risk factors that are involved, political instability and all the mitigating factors, it's usually not viable for private entities to go into these places and partner with small businesses who have very little collateral to start ventures that will be of great benefit to the communities, individual and the communities, as well as to the entire economy of those local regions. So World Bank really trigger a lot of economic activity that will accelerate development in poor regions. And we believe a lot of entrepreneurs should take advantage of these programs. If you go to the World Bank website, you'll find all the kinds of projects that the World Bank is willing to invest in to support with loans and grants, as well as to all the other subsidiary arms of the World Bank through which the World Bank is channeling these nations, but yet want to penetrate the markets of third world countries and developing nations. Be a win-win for global economy. Go to the next story. UNICEF step in Guinea as Ebola reaches the capital.
Amid, amid an Ebola fever outbreak, 4 cases in Conakry have been confirmed yesterday by the Guinean government. In Guinea's capital and across the rest of the country, UNICEF is ramping up its activities in support of Guinean authorities to prevent the often fatal disease from claiming even more lives. Out of 103 suspected cases in Guinea so far, 11 children have reportedly been affected, 3 of whom have died. Working with the government and in collaboration with World Health Organization, UNICEF is disseminating information and soon supplies such as chlorine, gloves, and soap across Conakry. Such as Conakry, actions must be taken to reduce risk of Ebola to families, said UNICEF representative in Guinea, Dr. Mohamed Ag Ayoya.
Very interesting on that. Or Caroline, want to take that first? Go ahead. Go for it.
The best way, I'm Carolyn Crawford. The best is the first thing we have to do is prevention. We have to teach the family a cleaner and providing soap is important. Have to teach them in order not by this infection. Hand washing is very important.
So basically, it's a lot of education for prevention that will help prevent the spread. All right, Carol, what's your take on that?
This thing has not happened for over, those things. The outbreaks were way, way back. But I'm and nurses can go in and search and experiment. Also, pharmaceutical companies can come in with extra medical supplies, and religious organizations can come in and give water and food to this. And I'm looking at sincere partners and those partners who are equally yoked, which can take out this mission and fulfill.
I think Guinea is way hygiene, potable water, basic essential. It's in today's world with billions and trillions of capital moving back and forth across the world in the global economy, a nation like Guinea should experience the lack of potable water, the larging cities. And it's also strange that in this UNICEF report, it is mentioned that cholera, measles, and meningitis, these are still um, um, plaguing people, and this is like a world where we have those in the 21st century, and we still have people in the 19th experiencing 19th century challenges. I think it's unfair. I think the World Health Organization and UNICEF really have to step up their games, and I think pharmaceutical companies like said should into the partnership. Like Carl said, pharmaceutical companies should look to send resources, because some of the profits they make are so great, and yet what these communities and these nations need to overcome challenges like cholera, measles, and meningitis, it's so little. It's a fragment of their profits, and so. I think that pharmaceutical companies and other health organizations should also step up their relief, and a lot of in a long way to prevent offset diseases. Let's go to the broadband of the global development gap. Let's go for it.
Broadband must be recognized as the vital development in post-2015 UN Sustainable Development Framework, says Dublin meeting of UN Broadband Commission. Access to broadband could be the universal catalyst that lifts developing countries' poverty and puts access to healthcare, education, and basic social services within reach of all, according to the UN Broadband Commission for Digital Development, which met in Dublin this weekend. Traded its call to the international community to recognize the transformational potential of high-speed networks and ensure broadband penetration targets are specifically included in those 2015 Sustainable Development Goals.
This is very which I believe that will reflect the today. Internet access is a basic necessity in today's world, and I believe that every community across the world can be given access, or access can be granted to many communities across the world. It will definitely impact economies and accelerate the development of this community. Alice?
Donovan, I would like to know, how would access to broadband lift poverty in the national and international?
You have been in education a while, and someone who is in a community that has no access to computer benefit from broadband internet access, or what will be the deficiencies, or how will that kid in that community lack, or how will he unfavorably positioned in competition with who have access, internet access to the globe.
Being an educator, this type of this broadband, I students on a national level, even international poverty, because each one teaches one. Information they have are on a weekly basis. Children can come in and share with each other what they're learning. The entire class into learning about this type of global development. So I actually see it bridging the gap and lifting poverty, not only nationally but internationally. I think it's a good thing.
Anybody wants to comment on that? Go ahead, go for it, Carol.
Going on the have that privilege, you know. And I remember working in the library and computers were brought. Disadvantage, even though I was a librarian. And I look at my son at this age and he has access to broadband. He has access to computer. I know. So those who are in don't have access are at a great disadvantage.
Now, one of the things that Alice, you mentioned, homeworks. You know, they can have tutorials with their teachers online, and then it gives them, like Carl, access to a lot of information. For instance, you know, they can search for things as opposed to uh, um, uh, asking their parents who don't have any form of education. There's some parents who are not educated today in today's, and yet they have children who go to schools and learn stuff and come ask their parents questions that their parents don't have the answers. And online also, there are a lot of educational curriculums that are made very easy. I remember when I was going in high school, I never had an English teacher all through my time in high school. But I was fortunate that my dad taught me English at home. Now, for most of, there are many schools in third world countries where, you know, only half of the curriculum is tackled. There are no tutors for most courses because of economic limitations for the education. And so children who want to learn, students who want to learn through, if you want the meaning of a word, whether in Latin, in Chinese, you just have to type in the word and boom, it comes out. So there is so much information on the internet that people could self-educate themselves in areas where there are no teachers, where they don't have access to books. They can still have access to the information that are locked up in libraries that are way beyond their reach. So educationally, in health, with technology, business opportunities, life, and will foster a lot of development. So it is important that all the bottlenecks to the development of broadband access be removed. Now, most of the investment into broadband technology, about this report says about 95% is by private investment. And anytime a private entity is going to make an investment in a place, they put in the consideration so much of the profitability and risk factors and how they can coop their investment. But if UNESCO, organizations like UNESCO and World Bank can also inject resources into the development of broadband, then there'll be acceleration. It's very strange and it's very interesting that even here in the United States, there are some communities where the level of broadband access is so poor. There are some communities where they're still using dial-up because private internet companies don't see the profitability. They don't see how they're going to increase, recoup, increase. It is important that most of the governments in these areas also partner with when the capability of that kind of service is a low-rated service, then streaming becomes almost impossible. And there are certain program softwares that will not act work. Progress and economic crisis reshape media landscape according to UNESCO report. Let's go for that story. Well, online social media networks like Facebook conduits for um, um, by all. Every governments of advanced nations, because they were, even though most governments were advocates of freedom of everybody to get, but today it has moved. There's been a shift in how it operates. The monopoly that used to exist. There are some nations where the only kind of media was the state-run broadcasting entities, where if you have any official news, then it must be through the conduit of government media. Today, that has come to an end with the development of the online media platform. Anybody to post anything. And the story that comes to mind is recently when someone posted on Twitter about the Turkish government, and the Turkish government notified Twitter to take down that to the Turkish networks. Now, because it's one of the reasons why we're having revolutions across the world, that is taking down a lot of dictators. But then in a country such as the United States, where we are advocates of freedom of speech, we find out that certain areas where the freedom of speech is now taking a new dimension that we consider a threat to national security. Spy intrusions are now becoming public. We know of the Snowden story where he exposed a lot of acts of the spy agency in tapping into phone conversations and so on. And now we have a multiplicity of issues that surround what freedom of speech is really about, and what issues should be considered public, what issues should be considered private, and well. Discussion on what private and public speech, what constitutes freedom of speech, and what does not constitute freedom of speech. But then it's an open topic, it's an open issue, and it's a matter of time that the world begins to figure out what should be kept under the carpet and what should be put in the open. But without a shadow of doubt, freedom of speech is only key to liberation of communities that are trapped in old traditions, people that, especially women and oppressed, people who are underprivileged, people who are and all kinds of disadvantages in the world. It's only freedom of speech that allows us to articulate who we are, report crimes, and bring issues that marginalize communities to the forefront of world issues, and then they can be appropriately tackled. We've come to the end of the show today, and on civilnet.com you can access more stories, more industry, economic, and business news, and you can go ahead and post your stories. If we happen to be doing those articles and those news stories, we might mention your comments and discuss these comments on this show. Thank you for watching the show today, and see you on the next show that comes up Tuesday next week. Have a wonderful weekend.